Hey, what's up, you guys? Big news for UFC 296 as Giga Chikadze pulls out of his fight with Josh Emmett. And man, we are getting reports of two potential replacement names that can fill up that spot in literally 2 weeks, man. I'm gonna go ahead and break this down, you guys. Please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. So, first off with the news, obviously Giga Chikadze had to pull out of the fight, with Josh Emmett. And man, I haven't seen a lot of people, talking about this fight in particular. It's kind of been like flying under the radar. It is a massive fight, for the division. Josh Emmett being number 6, right outside the top 5, and then Giga coming in with the number 8 behind his name. One would assume that a win from other guy would set them up for a fight in the top 5, or, especially in Giga Chikadze's, place, like this would set him up right back to where he was, in the beginning of 2022. This fight would most likely put him, right outside the top 5. And so as you guys see here, he suffered a groin injury, during practice. And, with the fight only being like a week and a half away, like this kind of does make sense, just because we typically do see a lot of injuries kind of a week and a half away from the fight, just because that's their last week that they're really pushing their body. But sucks that we won't be seeing Giga fight on UFC 296 anymore. He also actually went ahead and confirmed that he could return as early as January, if Josh wanted to wait for him. But the way things look now is that the UFC is actively looking for a replacement for Josh Emmett, and we actually have 2 potential names for Josh Emmett to fight on 296. And what's crazy is, like, we haven't heard really anyone call out Josh Emmett, because like it's wild to me, because this is a number 6 fighter in the world. If the guy pulled out on a couple days notice, I'd assume that we'd see a lot more people raising their hand to try to fight Josh Emmett, especially men. You look at the guys last couple fights as of lately, he got finished by Yair, and then Ilya beat the crap out of him over 5 rounds. And so the way everything's playing out, it seems like this might be his last potentially retirement fight. But both these next options that I am going to mention to you guys are absolute bangers. I'm so excited if these come to fruition. But the first one being Diego Lopes. Man, he went ahead and raised his hand. He just said, send me the contract. And man, oh man, there's a very big chance that the UFC do go with Diego Lopes. I mean, the guy looked absolutely amazing against Pat Sabatini, literally last month in MSG, and then a couple months before that, finishing also Gavin Tucker. I mean, the guy has just looked all around incredible. And then even when you factor his first fight in the UFC against Movsar Evloev, the numerous times he was close to finishing him. I mean, this guy is just showing to us that he is a lot better than people make him seem to be. And I guess his ranking shows him. This guy is definitely a top 10 fighter for sure. And man, 100% you gotta assume Josh will have some challenges for Diego Lopes. I mean, pound for pound, this might be the hardest hitting featherweight in the division. But let's also mention the absolute beautiful jiu-jitsu from Diego Lopes. If this guy goes into the ground with Josh Emmett, if he's being submitted by Yair, what do you think Diego is going to be able to do to him? On the striking, the guy is going to push a pace forward, but it can get wild. Like I said, if Josh throws one of those overhands and it connects, who knows, man. And we've seen how the UFC is trying to push Diego as well, with him saying send the contract. Dana loves that type of fighter as well. And man, if he takes this fight and goes out there and finishes Josh Emmett the way that he's been able to finish these last couple guys, have an impressive performance like that, man, dude, give him Rookie of the Year. And then now we go into the second person that's been throwing their name out there, which is another viable option. And before I even say anything, I know some people are going to raise some concerns. They're going to want to say stuff in the comments, but let me just go ahead and throw this out there. If Usman and Volkanovski were able to step in on short notice and fight the guys that they did, this is 100% a option for this person as well. And that is none other than Aljamain Sterling. Aljamain has also thrown in his name in the mix. And man, this is another option that I love, because if you guys saw my video the other day, we were talking about, you know, Aljamain's future as a featherweight now that he's officially confirmed that he's made the crossover. And you know, in that video we had a lot of questions like, who is he gonna fight? Because, you know, his name, you know, value as, you know, a former champion, it has to be matched by a guy, you know, in the top 5. You can't give him, you know, a guy with no recognition value. But, you know, we've learned since then that, you know, he in fact does want Max Holloway to be his first fight at featherweight. But, you know, we don't know where Max is, you know, at this point of his career, you know, what names he's going to be attached to in the future. I mean, the names he has been, you know, are all at lightweight, not even at featherweight. So that kind of might rule, you know, the possibility of Max out of that equation. And, you know, as well, we also discussed, you know, Arnold Allen, Ortega, Yair, Ilia Topuria as options for Aljo, but the problem is all those guys are booked right now. And then I do have to take something back, because I did say, like, okay, if you're not going to give him anyone in the top 5, I think it's disrespectful, so don't give him anyone right now. But with an opportunity like this, fighting Josh Emmett, number 6, I think it is a perfect opportunity for Aljo to make his case at featherweight. You know, one thing's for sure, you know, Josh isn't like the biggest name, you know, and he isn't like the most notable person. But, you know, nonetheless, the guy is a veteran. He's had a lot of fights at featherweight. He's been in there with a lot of good guys, a lot of notable guys as well. And, you know, to see how Aljo would perform against that would definitely, you know, throw his name, you know, in the right direction. Now, you know, earlier in the video, I told you guys, you know, how Diego would, you know, fare against, you know, Josh Emmett. But I'm going to tell you guys right now how Aljo fares against Josh Emmett. And while I do like his chances, they are very slim. Man, you know, the thing about Aljo, if he gets cracked by Josh Emmett, man, at 45, it's like, it's wraps. He's gonna go out cold. And, you know, of course, I'm not gonna say, you know, he can't take down Josh Emmett. I mean, the guy took down, you know, an Olympic gold medalist. And I do think he can also hold down Josh Emmett. But something just tells me in my gut that, you know, he's gonna have, you know, a little bit to deal with in the grappling department with Josh Emmett. You know, while he isn't the best grappler, he is somewhat of a good wrestler, and I think that could, you know, give some challenges to Aljo. You know, while Aljo is very big for bantamweight, you know, he is a decent size for featherweight. The difference with Emmett is Emmett's pretty big, you know, for featherweight, man. I don't know how he makes 145, I'm gonna be honest with you. And so for some reason, I just feel like that kind of holds something, you know, I don't know why. Like, I couldn't explain it to you guys properly. I just think that it's gonna be a little bit more challenging than it seems. Even, you know, in the striking department, I mean, Emmett's coming off a full camp, and Emmett does throw a lot of volume. You know, people make it seem like Emmett's just like a one and done, like, you know, he's gonna just throw one overhand, but the guy tries to be active on the feet at all times. You know, while he can sit sometimes and take pictures of his opponent, like, when he gets the chance to go, he does go. And I think that could present, you know, maybe some issue for Aljamain. Regardless, I'm so excited to see if they, you know, throw in Diego Lopez or Aljamain Sterling. I don't know which one I want to see the most, to be honest with you. I think if I'd have to lean towards one, I'd want to see Diego Lopez. But then again, too, it's like this is a perfect opportunity for Aljamain to step up and, you know, be in the featherweight division, you know, and him, you know, even taking like kind of like the risk that he's taking, you know, to do this on short notice. I think it will pay off in the future, you know, especially with the UFC and how they operate. But yeah, you guys, please leave your thoughts down below. Let me know, who do you guys want to see? Do you guys want to see Emmett take on, you know, Diego Lopez or Aljamain Sterling? Or, you know, should he just wait for Giga Chikadze? I mean, that's still not a bad fight to put on, you know, him and Giga. Man, I just assume with how big the guy is, he's not going to want to, you know, stop his training camp, you know, put on the weight and then, you know, leave it until January. I mean, the guy is like on track to, you know, make weight, you know, next week. So I think that is just how it's going to be, and they're going to try to look for a replacement. But yeah, you guys, keep it real. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.